We're back. Our second topic for this week is what's going on in the Statehouse related to education reform. They've made some significant progress with the governor's and the Republicans' plan for education reform. Doug, you saw the governor today in Valparaiso.
Right. He was speaking at Strongbows, and so, you know, if you think of politicians that way, you could say he wasn't the only turkey in the room, but you know,
say, did he have a nice turkey dinner for?
It
for
was
Easter?
a nice turkey dinner.
Ham, but okay.
And you could call him a ham too if you're so inclined. He did say, as an aside, he did say that people have been asking him to, you know, make the big announcement, and that he would take that opportunity, and yes, you know, it's time to make the announcement. Sunday is when he takes the motorcycle out of storage. So,
excellent.
So, you know, he's still being coy about the presidential run, but he did speak quite a bit about the education issues. And today, it's important that the school voucher bill passed, and so, you know, that's a huge issue. But another huge issue is that the state has finally found the money to fully fund full-day kindergarten. So it's, you know, caught up with
revenue outlooks seem to improve, and the governor said that one of his priorities would be to use those funds for full-day kindergarten.
Right, and so he's looking at, you know, our state revenues are up in Indiana. You know, finally, Indiana still doesn't require kindergarten, which is, you know, kind of odd when you think of, you know, other states are looking at, they're already funding, you know, pre-kindergarten programs.
Right, kindergarten is really, kindergarten is not what it was when you and I were in school. It has become much more of a place to learn and less of a place to roll out your mat and take a nap.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think people all consider full-day kindergarten to be a good thing. The problem was finding a way to pay for it. Vouchers, on the other hand, are quite the controversial topic. Mark, what do you?
Well, you know, I've always kind of been in favor of the voucher system, because the people who send their children to private schools now pay taxes for the public schools, and you know, which they should. I think public schools are an investment in your community, but they also get very little back in return for it. And you know, when you look at it, I think a voucher system gives people the choice to send children where they would like them to go. And I think one of the things, not having a voucher system was disadvantageous to the people in less affluent communities, because they just didn't have the money to send their children to a private school if that is what they so wished. If their local schools were not performing up to par, and they wanted to send their child to, say, a parochial school or a private school, a non-religious private school, they you know, they didn't have that option because they just didn't have the money.
And the vouchers are limited in terms of income. You have to be under a certain income to be eligible for the vouchers. Also, the program itself is kind of limited in terms of the number of vouchers. I think only like something like 7,500 vouchers to begin with.
Right, it's limited, and there are other limits as well. For instance, if you are using a voucher to send your child to a private school, you have to first have had your child in a public school for at least a year, and then if a charter school is available, it's still a public school. It's just not one of the traditional public schools. So then that becomes something that you would have to avail yourself of. And then if
your charter
the
school
charter
or
school,
your magnet school,
right,
is going to be,
and so if the charter school is not available, then the private school money would come into play.
Do you think, in long term, obviously these are public monies that would go to public schools that are now being diverted to go to vouchers for private schools? Is there a risk here of ultimately hurting the public schools?
Well, I think yes, but I think what you have to look at is our mission to fund public education, or is our mission to fund a child's education? And so that's really what it's come down to. And the Republican-led state government in Indiana, you know, controls the governor's office plus the House and the Senate. So, I mean, it's pretty much a Republican monopoly. They've decided that we're funding the child's education, and that's a huge philosophical distinction.
I think it's an important distinction because there are schools in certain cities, certain school districts that perform better than others, or worse than others, and you know, this particular, the way that these vouchers are structured is going to give the people in less advantageous situations a shot at getting their child perhaps a better education.
Right.